it's Kate checking in now on Of Blood and Bone by Nora Roberts. This is book 2 in the Chronicles of the One series, and yes, I just finished this book yesterday. In Of Blood and Bone, this is going to give away some spoilers for book 1, so if you haven't read book 1 yet, stop now and go back and read book 1 or watch my review for book 1. So, in Of Blood and Bone, we see Phelan kind of learn her powers and her story and what she is supposed to become. She studies for 2 years with Malik, her mentor, and he teaches her all of the magic that she has in her and of the One. And we see kind of her journey throughout this learning experience. And occasionally we get glimpses of other characters that we saw from book 1. At the end of book 1, we learned that Max, Phelan's birth father, is killed trying to defeat his brother Eric and Eric's girlfriend Allegra. And then Lena, Phelan's mother, who's at the time pregnant with Phelan, has to run to save herself and her baby and essentially all of her friends. And she's on the run, and that's when she finds Simon Swift's farm, and Simon kind of takes her in and helps deliver her baby and becomes Phelan's father, essentially. And then at the very end, we see Malik. He comes and says, when Phelan turns 15, she will come and study with me for 2 years, and I will teach her everything she needs to know to become the One. She is this legend, and Lena kind of already knew this. She had this feeling when she was pregnant with Phelan, but now it's been confirmed by Malik. And so if you think it felt more like a borderline YA adult, like as YA wanting to be adult, once I kind of had that feeling, I was able to read both this and the first book a lot easier and enjoy it more, because I wasn't reading it as I did with the mindset of it being adult fiction. So I really enjoyed this book. I think you will enjoy it. There's so many different magical creatures, especially in this book compared to book 1. You've got the magic, the witches, the fairies, the elves, everything that you saw in book 1, plus more. And I can't tell you much more about that without giving away spoilers, but if you love all magical creatures, then you'll at the very least like this book. So I loved Of Blood and Bone. Like I've said, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was much better than the first book. I really enjoyed the characters more in this book. I was able to really get to know and understand the characters, both the new ones and the ones carried over from book 1 better in this book. And I thought it was great, but not amazing. As I was reading it, I was really excited and I wanted to keep reading, but I wasn't mostly excited to get into the reading. But I really enjoyed it while I was reading it. Like I said, the characters had me much more invested in this book than in the first book, and there seemed to be more plot here and a better plot than I've thought in the first book. The first book was more just getting to know kind of the legend and the stories and the characters, even though we didn't see half of the characters for half the time in the book 2. To me, it felt like Nora could have just started with book 2 and made it a duology, especially since the prologue we have at the start basically gives us what we read in book 1. But like I said, I really enjoyed Of Blood and Bone by Nora Roberts. I thought that it was a great story. I can't wait to see what happens in book 3, the final book of this series, which I'll probably start later today or maybe tomorrow. My favorite character in this book was Malik. I loved how wise and understanding he was, and even though he was willing to admit his mistakes and say, like, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, and this is how I'm gonna fix it, and he was willing to just admit his mistakes and move on from there instead of dwelling on it. He was a really great mentor to Phelan, and I really hope that we get a lot more of him in book 3. Some of my favorite quotes from this book include, faith is a sword and a shield as long as one bolsters it with courage and brains and muscle. Language is only thoughts put into words, which I think, if I remember right, both of these quotes were from Malik talking to Phelan. And then, how do we thrive, Dad, after the battles, after the blood and sacrifice and risk, if someone somewhere can kill thousands with a machine, with a code? And that one I can't really give a lot of context to because it will give away spoilers for this book, but it is a great quote considering the context. If you want to see more about that quote, watch my reading vlog, which will come out this weekend. I go into more detail on that quote there. So 4 out of 5 stars for Of Blood and Bone by Nora Roberts, and I can't wait to start book 3. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and tell all your friends, and keep reading.